Hello, it's the holiday edition of Business Life, and you're welcome to the program. My name is Pious Shandoff. In our headlines tonight, government commits to unwavering regional integration despite current economic challenges. We'll hear from the Vice President, Dr. Baumia, at the 53rd General Assembly of the World Trade Center Association.
Recognizes the importance of trade and investment in promoting growth and development. And we are committed to working with our African partners to create a vibrant, integrated continent.
Also, World Bank makes guarantee payment of $372 million on behalf of the government of Ghana for the 2030 Eurobond. Plus Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana issues discussion papers to caution government on new bond arrangements under the debt exchange program.
ICA Ghana has issued 4 discussion papers to direct the treatment of accounts for all accountants, auditors and finance people who have the authority or have the mandate to work with this new bond or new debt arrangement.
There's more on this half-hour bulletin. Do stay. Now to our very first story, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia has indicated that government's commitment to regional integration is unwavering despite the current economic challenges. According to him, the government remains committed to creating a vibrant, integrated economy within the African continent. He was speaking at the 53rd General Assembly of the World Trade Center Association. There's more on the following report.
53rd General Assembly of the World Trade Center Association was held under the theme Towards African Economic Integration and Enhanced Global Presence. The meeting is set to provide actionable insights and various tools for financing businesses in Ghana and Africa. Delivering his keynote address, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia said Ghana recognizes the importance of trade and investments in building vibrant economies on the African continent.
Ghana recognizes the importance of trade and investment in promoting growth and development. And we are committed to working with our African partners to create a vibrant, integrated continent. However, we also recognize that Africa can only achieve its full potential with the support and cooperation of the international community. Ghana is fully committed to supporting this initiative and working with the World Trade Centers Association to enhance African investment and trade. Enhancing Africa's global presence requires a concerted effort by all stakeholders, including governments, businesses, and civil society. We must work together to promote Africa's unique potential, attract foreign investment, and create sustainable partnerships that benefit Africa and our international partners.
Paramount Chief of Asogli Traditional Area, Togbe Apede, added that Ghana and Africa has the potential to address challenges related to food security across the globe.
I believe the world can draw comfort from Africa's potential to help solve many of the problems of today, in particular, problem of ensuring food security across the world. Africa is gearing up and is on the journey to fulfill its promise. With 20% of the world's landmass and 60% of arable but uncultivated land, we believe Africa can be the answer to food security across the globe. We have so much of the world's resources, a very disproportionate share. If you just suppose the fact that we command 30% of the world's nominal resources, 20% of the land mass, 60% of land that is fertile but not cultivated, against the fact that we control only 3% of global GDP, and 2% of world trade, and it tells you the potential that abounds in Africa.
General Secretary of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Wamkele Meni, said the integration of economies will contribute to the growth of GDP and reduce poverty in African countries.
The integration of this continent is already advancing. The World Bank tells us that by the year 2035, where we implement the AFCFTA in a manner that aggressively addresses our challenges, by the year 2035, we will lift 100 million people out of poverty, abject poverty, moderate poverty. We will contribute up to $450 billion to Africa's combined GDP, and more importantly for me, we will close the gender salary gap, and we will be able to produce and establish an alternative supply chain so that when there's another pandemic, our continent is able to stand up straight on our own.
The 53rd General Assembly of the World Trade Center Association includes delegates from 64 countries and provides businesses with the opportunity to attract investors.
Away from that, the International Development Association of the World Bank has made a guarantee payment of $372 million on behalf of the government of Ghana for the 2030 Eurobond. This follows the country's inability to redeem its coupon payment on April 14, 2023 due to the debt moratorium announced on December 19 last year. There's more, the following report.
The payment was done on April 20th, 2023. In 2015, the nation faced difficult market conditions. It had large financing needs, high debt levels that were maturing soon, and no access to international financial markets. The Finance Ministry then sought help from the World Bank to meet these goals and requested a policy-based guarantee in combination with a credit from the International Development Association to be able to mobilize the volume of financing needed to settle upcoming debt repayments. A policy-based guarantee was then secured. In this case, Ghana issued a $1 billion Eurobond series due in 2030. The 2030 Eurobond was backed by the International Development Association's guarantee, covering up to $400 billion in both principal and interest. Since then, the government has bought back and cancelled $70 billion of the 2030 Eurobond, reducing the amount of guarantee to $372 million.
Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says that Ghana may have to wait some 2 or 3 years before returning to the international capital market. According to him, the country's temporary obstruction from the international capital market is an opportunity to finally pursue its homegrown agenda. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Ofori-Atta said that in the interim, Ghana would leverage local resources to generate some revenue.
So what happened when there was no sense of where we were going last year, and the currency took a nosedive, etc., and people were just not sure, and there was lack of confidence. Obviously, there's been some stability with these discussions going forward. The market responds to, any system that is looking at its, expenditures and revenues. And as long as we keep at it, I think the market will be positive. In terms of returning to, let's say, the international capital markets, I suspect it to take, some 2-3 years or so, if not more, for us to get back to it. In the interim, we should be able to generate local resources to do that. But I think what's also significant about the program, if you look at the Ghana Cares program, is our policy to be self-sufficient in poultry, rice, tomatoes, etc., which we began to do. So that will reduce your foreign exchange demands and actually, hopefully, also begin to export those products.
The Zambian currency jumped to become the best currency in Africa as soon as they got the program. Are you waiting with bated breath on the positives for the economy when this program is closed and the announcement is made?
I'll be very excited about the announcement being made, that's for sure. Yeah, I think really we should just be calm about it, you know, let's get into the discipline of working hard, the discipline of not relying on imports, but looking at an export-driven economy, to put an end to the importation of food, that's for sure, and just not waste the resources, you know, and our own maybe senses of entitlement, you know, should be abated some and work for what we want to consume.
In a related development, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, is cautioning the government on the treatment of newborns under the debt exchange program. According to the Institute, this must conform to international financial reporting standards to ensure consistency and transparency. Speaking at a health walk and fun games to mark the Institute's 60th anniversary, President Senadake said that the Institute has issued some policy imperatives for onward consideration by the government.
ICA Ghana has not been on the bench in this matter. From December, when the announcements were made, ICA Ghana had a breakfast meeting. We issued a communique to government on our views and what we expect government to do. It somehow coincided with the release of budget, so we had contributions made in the budget preparation and to some of the controls and financial disciplines that had been put in the budget. We contributed, we made input in that. Beyond that, it's good to have it passed by Parliament, but it's another thing implementing. So at the level of implementation, we are encouraging our members who are accountants in all sectors and in the Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana and all the other sectors to ensure that they abide by standards. So how to treat the newborns, how to treat the losses are things that are very fundamental in our financial standards, our international financial standards. And so ICA Ghana has issued 4 discussion papers to direct the treatment of accounts for all accountants, auditors and finance people who have the authority or have the mandate to work with this new bond or new debt arrangements.
So from the accountant's perspective, what is your word of advice to government in this whole negotiation process?
The negotiation process, we wish government well. We want the best for Ghana. We know Ghana is a very peaceful country, and so investors should still have confidence in us, irrespective of the fact that we are having some challenges. But the most important thing for all of us, not only to government, to everybody who is interested in seeing Ghana grow, is reduce waste. Let's reduce waste. That is very important.
In a related development, further analysis of the domestic debt restructuring indicates that 23 banks operating in this country will lose about 6.1 billion as a result of reduced coupon rate and the extension of the maturity period from 5 to 15 years, according to the liquidity gap analysis by Dr. Richmond Etuahene and KB Frimpong. The 23 banks would have to generate positive cash flow of about 10.1 billion cedis over the period from the original coupon rate of 19.3% per annum. But following the implementation of the domestic debt exchange program, the extension of maturity period and the reduction of coupon rates will impact heavily on their earnings from investment in Ghana. One of the authors of this report, Dr. Richmond Etuahene, spoke on the marketplace.
Coupon rates from 19.3 to 9% and extending the maturity profile from 5 to 15 years. When you use the MPV values about the returns, it means there will be a drop in the returns. And that is how we calculated this by using the MPV.
And so how much will the 23 banks lose over the period of 5 years from the domestic debt exchange program? I'm seeing 6.1 billion Ghana cedis.
If there hadn't been nothing, if the debt has not been restructured, they were going to make about 10 point something billion. But as to the structured debt, then you get about 4 point something. So the difference between the 10 original and the new one gives you about 6.1 billion.
And how will these losses impact on the real sector?
In a real sense, with the setup of the financial stability, if all ceteris paribus, all things being equal, if it's set up, then I don't think there will be a rush for the liquidity that people will go and take their money. Like it happened in Jamaica. Jamaica set a similar funding, the stability by 1.2 billion. At the end of it all, it was not utilized. And it's also about information asymmetry. Because of financial illiteracy, a lot of people don't know what the bonds, the reduction of these bonds and the coupon actually is meant. But those of us doing finance and economics and accounting, when we dive into it, that is it. So all things being equal, it may not directly affect the banks per se. That is why Bank of Ghana has decided that they will set the financial stability of 15.2 billion. If things get out of hand, then they will be able to rely on the liquidity, the difference to support the system.
Still to come, economic hardships is affecting dressmakers in the Techiman municipality as Muslims celebrate the Eid. Thanks for staying. This is the holiday edition of Business Life. My name is Pious Shandoff. Now, as Muslims across the world observe Eid al-Fitr festivities, which effectively mark the end of the month of Ramadan, some dressmakers in the Techiman municipality of the Bono East region are lamenting low patronage, saying that customers are struggling to cope with high prices and the rising cost of clothing. They say that the current economic downturn, coupled with the high cost of electricity, is having a toll on them. Correspondent Anasabet has more. The full report.
The cost of living crisis continues to severely impact lives, putting financial pressure on many individuals, families and communities, and tailors and seamstresses are not left out as prices of sewing materials continue to skyrocket, thereby affecting their trade. As Muslims mark the Eid al-Fitr festivities, tailors usually make a lot of money during this period, but the situation isn't the same this year, as they say the rising cost of materials is adversely affecting their tailoring businesses. Salu Mekankan is the CEO of MKK Executive Fabrics. Our customers are complaining due to the rising cost of materials. Everything in terms of the materials we use in line of our work is being sold at higher prices this time around, and so our job is affected in diverse ways. He noted that some clients are unable to pay for their items after they have been sewn due to the high cost of materials. Some clients are unable to pay for their items after we are done with them due to the cost involved. Isaac Nsietabiru tells me that aside the high cost of materials, the sharp rise in electricity tariffs is also contributing to their hardships.
The
cost of electricity these days is higher, and our machines are being powered by electricity, so we spend a lot in purchase of power. Yes, we have no choice but to buy, but we are appealing to them to do something about it. Abakar Omar on his part says several others who wish to have new clothes for the Eid are being forced to celebrate the Eid festivities with old clothing due to the high cost of materials in the market.
Last year, at least
the prices of goods in the country have skyrocketed. What used to be sold at 60 Ghana cedis a year ago is now times 2. So life is hard these days. There are others who are currently being forced to put on their old clothing because they can't afford new ones. They are all appealing to those in authority to come to their aid by helping stabilize the economy.
Muna neman taimako gaskiya a duba a rage a bar kaya yayi sauki kowa ya iya isi. Dole dan ka ji akwai daidai naka dai amma batun kudi ne karfi ya gane ai.
Yes, so mu waye ne yantin no man so kakra mai and they are this ready to ben ko nimpa no.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichima.
Now, Ghana's nuclear power program has been left idle nearly 60 years since independence in 1957. In 2008, Cabinet took a decision to include nuclear energy into the country's energy generation mix and paved the way for its inclusion into the national energy policy and strategy. This led to the establishment of the Ghana Nuclear Power Program Organization to oversee the implementation and coordination of the nuclear power program. Over the weekend, Nuclear Power Ghana and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission held a two-day engagement at the Ho Technical University in the Voto region to exchange discourse and knowledge on this particular subject. Yet more, the following report.
A major research of nuclear research in the mid-1950s showed that nuclear energy could produce electricity for commercial use. Nuclear Power Ghana and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission held a two-day engagement with the faculty and students of Ho Technical University to share knowledge, connect and learn opportunities in nuclear energy and to demystify the myth associated with nuclear energy. The two institutions entered into a tripartite memorandum of understanding on the 15th September 2022. The Director of Planning and Quality Assurance at the Ho Technical University, Engineer Dr. Mahwese Nyatuame, in addressing the students said plans are far advanced to introduce a curriculum in nuclear power.
For ACU, what we intend to do as part of the agreement is to build capacity. So we are already been started looking at a curriculum on nuclear power. That is going to be run. So we're going to be a foundation course. Just like we ran PT. I know some of you remember PT. What is PT? Decision quality. I went through that. We're going to be composing for the second years. So we'll be doing a foundation course.
The Director, Nuclear Power Institute of Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Professor Sadebra, assured the general public that the use of nuclear power is safe.
If nuclear, I've worked with the nuclear fraternity for 15 years. So my first assignment as a national service person was at the Confanotti Teaching Hospital, where I did more radiotherapy calculations. Because I'm a physicist, I did more radiotherapy calculations to cure people of cancer. And we use nuclear technologies to do that. You go to the hospital, we use X-rays. It's been something we've been using in this country, even in the industry. You go to the hospitals, everywhere you go, there are applications of nuclear. The only place we've not stepped as a country is power. And it's just a natural progression into power. We've taken all the precautionary measures. We are not doing this in isolation as Ghana. We are doing this in consultation and in partnership with the International Atomic Energy Agency to make sure that we do this and we do this right. Because they are the UN arm that is responsible to make sure that the framework is laid out and countries are actually following the framework. We've already gone through what we call the integrated nuclear infrastructure review missions. The first one and the follow-up for phase 1 of this program actually have 3 phases. So we've already done with phase 1. And we've had very good reviews from the International Atomic Energy Agency and other international bodies that we are working with. So the message simply is this: we are safe as a country. We need to do this as a country. If we want to propel ourselves as a developed country, as an industrialized country, we cannot actually overlook nuclear. We need to do this because our hydro resources are almost gone. Solar or the renewable resources are not stable enough. We need a new base load. It's either we go coal which we know we are not familiar and we don't actually like, or we go nuclear. So if we want to survive as a people, we need to go nuclear. We are not the only country doing this. There are other African countries.
Public Affairs Manager of Nuclear Power Ghana, Bellona Gerard Victor Kwao, expressed her excitement at the level of awareness.
It shows me that the level of awareness even has gone a lot deeper. It wasn't so much what is in need for them, but what contributions they can make. And I think it's a very positive thing to note, that what contributions they can make as against what they will gain from it. So with this background, it makes it a lot better for us to move them on to the next level as to what benefits they will get from it, not only as individual, but as an institution. And it is that collective support we look for in attaining the social license, which is a requirement for the nuclear power plant.
Some of the students shared their experiences after the program.
So they always say that catch them young. So them bringing this program to HT was a great opportunity for our students to also know actually what is going on in the country. And also when they spoke about this nuclear something, we all thought it was something like atomic bomb, just as compared to Russia, how they used to produce bomb and others. But at the end of the program, we got to know that it is an energy that will give us the same electricity that the hydroelectric also produces. So it is a good feeling, and it is our prayer that it comes to stay. It shouldn't just be a teaching that should be going on in the country, but it should also be something that will be inculcated in all other institutions, which will help us to be able to generate more energy for Ghana to be on a safer side.
Ivy Satoji, Joy News, Ho.
That's all for now. There's more on myjoyonline.com. My name is Pious. Do enjoy the rest of the holiday.